What's going on, guys? Balkan Architect here, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you how to model these 6 common ceiling designs in Revit. So one of my more successful videos so far is my 10 common roof shapes in Revit, and you guys seem to really like it, so I thought why not create the same video but for ceilings. Ceilings go below the roof, so I guess it kind of all goes along. So that's what the topic of this tutorial is going to be all about. I'm going to be showing you different types of ceilings and the approaches that I found to be the best for creating them in Revit. So that's what this video is all about. Now, before I get into that, I would just like to ask you to like this video. It helps me out a lot with the YouTube algorithm. Also, make sure to subscribe. I make useful Revit tutorials each week. I make multiple tutorials. And then also I create some courses. I've got a huge 18-hour beginner to intermediate level course, and then also I have some intermediate and advanced level courses as well. So on my website, balkanarchitect.com, you can find all of those courses. It's going to be the first link just below the video in the description. I've got over 90 hours of content there, so check it out if you're interested in learning Revit a bit more seriously. Also, if you're looking for my Revit project files, like these ceilings that we're going to be creating today, or any of my other Revit project files, well, all of them are available on my Patreon page, which is the second link in the description. Again, just below the video in the description. Okay, so without any further ado, let's get straight into Revit.
And here we are in Revit. So let's immediately get started by going to models and then starting a new project. Now for the template file, I'm going to choose my own personal Balkan Architect template, the metric version. Now, if you're interested in getting my template, I have a couple of options on my website, both the metric and imperial versions. So if you're interested, check it out. It's going to be the third link in the description. Anyways, let's just click OK, and that's going to start Revit right up. Let's wait for a few moments. There we go. Okay, so now to get started, what I'm going to do is simply go here to the wall tool. WA is the shortcut. Go to the rectangular draw tool, and then let's create a couple of simple rectangular shapes. Let's go to modify to escape out of that command, and here we go. So when it comes to creating ceilings in Revit, the first one that we're going to be covering is the plain, flat, regular ceiling that is probably the most common in the world because, well, it's the easiest, the cheapest, and the cleanest and most elegant. So for this ceiling, you have a couple of approaches. So you can either create it as an actual ceiling, and for that what you have to do is go here to the project browser, find your ceiling plans, and then open up level 1. That's going to open up your level 1 ceiling plan. Zoom in a little bit, go here to ceiling, and then here in the properties you have a couple of options for a plain ceiling. You have the generic and the plain. Generic as well, it's generic, so it's I think it doesn't even have a thickness or something like that. So I tend to use the plain one. And then we have the automatic ceiling, which is probably easy in this particular case. So let's just use that one. We hover over the room, we get that red line all around, a red boundary line, indicating that this is where the ceiling is going to go. So if I just click there, it's going to place a ceiling. Now, you can't really see it because it's plain, but if I hit the escape key a couple of times, hover over the edge of this wall, and hit the tab key a couple of times and click, I'm going to select that ceiling. And here, as you can see, we have ceilings 1. Now, this ceiling is set at 2.6 meters. Let's move it up to 3 meters. There we go. So this is one approach. Now, if I go to the 3D view here, oops. Let's try that again. There we go. Okay, so as you can see, this ceiling has been placed there, and now when we look at it from the bottom, we have that plain white regular ceiling, and we can select it and go into edit type here in the properties panel, and then in structure we can edit the structure, and here we can actually set up the material that's being used, both for the structural part and then the layer below that's kind of the finish layer. Now let me just cancel out of that. Now the second approach is to use just a simple floor. So if you go here to level 2, zoom into the second building here, go to floor, and then let's use pick walls, just like that. Hit finish, and I'm just not going to join the walls. There we go. Okay, so now here, if I go to the 3D view, here we have a floor. Now this is both a floor, but it can serve as a ceiling because, well, when you look at it from the bottom, well, it's a ceiling. And if you go into edit type, well, first select the floor, then go to the properties panel and go into edit type. When we go into structure, we have the option to select the bottom core boundary, insert a layer, bring it down by using the down button, set it to finish, and then here we can apply any finish that we want, perhaps a gypsum wallboard or something. Here we go. And we can apply a thickness of 0.01, that's like 1 centimeter. Click OK, apply, OK, and that's going to give us our ceiling. So this is now basically working as a ceiling. Now, the one thing to note that's quite important is that when you have floors, they're not going to have the same behavior as ceilings. And the most important thing to note is when you go here and let's go to component. Let's see, do we have some lights here? Okay, so for example, here I have this ceiling light that's included with this template. If I want to place it, I can place it here on the bottom of this ceiling, because that's a ceiling. But if I go here, as you can see, it's going to give me this little cross sign, so it's not going to allow me to place it here because this is not a ceiling. And lights or some other ceiling hosted elements are going to, well, require a ceiling host. So this is something to note. If you use a floor as your ceiling, you're not going to be able to host any ceiling hosted elements like lights and so on. Moving on, now we're going to be talking about a dropped ceiling or recessed ceiling, and usually you're going to see this in offices or office spaces and so on. So this is that ceiling that kind of hangs a little bit below the upper floor construction, and in most cases it's used in order to hide all of the wiring, the ventilation tubing or whatever, vents and so on. So it's basically there to kind of hide a lot of the functional parts of the building. And of course it hosts some lights. Now it can simply be created here. Let's zoom in here on this little building that we have. And of course, let's again go to the project browser, find the ceiling plan number 1 or level number 1, go to the ceiling tool. We can still use the automatic ceiling, and then instead of this plane, we have a couple of options for this. We have the 600 by 600 or the 600 by 1200. Let's use the 600 by 600 grid. Click once, and there we go. We have our ceiling. Let's go to modify, and now we can select this ceiling, but once we select the ceiling, or perhaps I like to use the tab key kind of to select the entire thing, let's bring it up to 3 meters perhaps. And here you can go into edit type and you can play around with the structure of this ceiling. As you can see, this is the kind of the finish. Here we have the 600 by 600 millimeter grid as the foreground pattern and so on. So it has that pattern that's quite typical for these types of ceilings, and it can actually be integrated very well with lights. So for example, if I were to go here to insert and then load family, and here in the family library, if I just search for lighting, architectural, internal, and here we should have, let's see, rectangular lighting, something like this. Let's open that up. And here you will see that we have different ones. Or actually, let's go back. Let's try that again. So lighting, architectural, internal. So we have these. Perhaps this one is good, the linear box. So let's open that one up. Go here to architecture and component. So that one should be, I think, has that M prefix, but we just have to find it. Okay, so here we go. So here you can find perhaps the 600 by 600 one, and then you can host it in between these grids. Now you're probably not going to be able to snap it exactly to the grid. So what I like to do is just place it like this. then zoom in, select that, and just move the corner here to the intersection, and there we go. So as you can see, it's going to fit in really, really well in this type of a ceiling. And of course, you can copy it around if necessary, so you can go like that. Let's copy it multiple times, perhaps, and so on. So let's go here to the 3D view, and it's going to have this appearance, which actually looks like one of those recessed ceilings. And here, as you can see, it's hosting all of these lights. So I really like the way that this turns out, and I like the way that the lights are kind of combined with the whole pattern of the ceiling. So that's the recessed or drop ceiling. Moving on, next we have the tray ceiling. Now this is quite a common ceiling, especially today in some modern designs for apartments or houses. So let's again go here. We're currently in level 1. Let's go to the project browser and find the ceiling plans level 1. Open up that ceiling plan, and for this ceiling we actually have to create a couple of ceilings. So you want to go here to the ceiling tool, and let's select the plane ceiling here in the properties panel. And then I'm going to use the automatic ceiling, and for the height offset, let's change that immediately to 3 meters. Next, you go here, the whole thing highlights, you click once, and there you go, you have your ceiling. Now for the second ceiling, you want to switch to sketch ceiling. Next, you want to change the offset to something a little bit lower. So I like to give it a 10 centimeter offset, sometimes more, sometimes less. So let's go with 2.9 meters. And then here for the boundary, let's go here to the draw tools, use a simple rectangle and draw that rectangle. And then I'm going to use again a rectangle, but giving it an offset of 0.4 meters, or maybe even 0.5. There we go. Okay, now you go to the corner, click, you go to the other corner, and now I'm just going to tap the space key once. It's going to flip it to the inside. Next you click, and you hit finish. And it's going to look like this. And when we switch to the 3D view, it's going to look like that. So it's called a tray ceiling because, well, it looks like a little tray on top. And I actually have a full tutorial where I show you how to create this ceiling with an integrated light. I think it looks really cool. So I'm going to leave that as a link in the description. So check it out if you're interested in that. Now we're going to be talking about a sloped ceiling, or something that's also known as a vaulted ceiling, and that's a ceiling that follows a sloped curvature of the roof. So in this case, or a sloped angle of the roof to be more precise. So here we have some walls. So I'm just going to jump over to level 2 and add a roof here. So let's go to the roof tool, roof by footprint, use the rectangle tool, or maybe even pick walls. Yeah, that could work. Here we go. Flip that to the other side. And then I'm going to go to the modify tool, select the top and bottom edges, and just uncheck define slope. And then if I just hit finish and attach all of the walls, if I go to the 3D view, it's going to look like this. So when we look from the bottom, it's going to look like that. Now, in some cases, you might get away with just adding another layer on the bottom, and that's going to kind of stand in as your ceiling, but in other cases you might want to use an actual ceiling. So let me show you how to create a ceiling in this particular situation. What you want to do is go to your ceiling plans, of course, as always when creating ceilings. So let's go to level 1, zoom in a little bit, and then once you're here at your ceiling, what you want to do then is go here to ceiling, go with sketch ceiling, and then you want to use a rectangle, but instead of creating a full ceiling like this, go halfway there, just like this. Next, we want to use a slope arrow, and for the slope arrow, you want to go from here up to there. There we go. We can select that slope arrow, and here we can see the actual angle of the slope. So if I just set the this at let's see, so this is the height offset at tail. So I want the tail to be at 0, and then I want the height offset to be, let's try 1 meter and hit apply. Let's try 1.5 meters. Okay, that doesn't change the slope here, which is kind of annoying. So let's see something else. So what we have to do then is perhaps go here into level 1, create a section going through this thing, just like that. Open that up. So this is almost there, so let's edit that boundary and let's go to the 3D view. Open up the 3D view. So let's try this at 1.6 or something like that. So you want to play around a little bit until you match that angle. Let's try 1.8. One good way to solve this issue is to, let's just move this up a little bit, 3.2 meters, is to go here into your section. And then what you can do is go to perhaps the Annotate tab, go to Detail line, and then just pull out a line going from here, like that. And then you can measure from the bottom of this to there. So okay, that's 1.8, but do the same thing here for the roof. Sorry, so detail line going from here, just like that, and then measuring from the top of the roof there. Okay, so it's going to give you a measurement here. You can select that, copy it, go to your 3D view, select the kind of the sloped ceiling, go into edit boundary, select the arrow, and just paste that number here. Hit finish. And now you know that when you go here to the section, it's going to be perfectly perpendicular to that. And then finally, you can go back here into your level 1. Okay, here we go. Level 1 ceiling plan. You can select this, go to the mirror tool with the pick axis option, and just mirror it around the center, open up your section, and this is what that's going to look like. So you can add a ceiling that's going to follow the angle of the roof perfectly. Now let's talk about coffered ceilings. Now I already have a tutorial where I show you how to do that, so I'm going to link that up in the description if you're interested in seeing the full tutorial, because I have created a special approach for creating coffered ceilings, and just how I created those system families I explained in that video. But now let me just show you the kind of what it looks like when it's being used to create a ceiling. So this is a kind of a classical type of a ceiling. I think it looks really cool and elegant. So let's go here to the project browser and open up ceiling plans. And for this ceiling, we have to create 3 different ceilings. So let's go here to the ceiling tool. We can set it to 3 meters, go to automatic ceiling, and then for the ceiling type, let's go with the plane 1. So I can just click here and create that plane ceiling. Next, instead of creating another ceiling, we are going to go here to the roof tool, and then let's go into level 2, that's okay. And then for this one, I'm going to choose the coffered ceiling 1. And just use a simple rectangle, create that ceiling like this. Now, once you create that ceiling, while we're creating it as a roof, you want to go to the Modify tool, select all of these lines, and then uncheck Define Slope. You want it to be flat. Next, you hit Finish, and well, you're finished. So let's create a section through this building just to see what we have created. Open up that view. Here we go. So you're going to notice that this coffered ceiling is now here on the top. So you want to measure here from that level down to the bottom of our ceiling, which is 0.6 meters. And then we can select that coffered ceiling and just give it a base offset of -0.6. Hit enter. There we go. Next, you want to go back into that level 1 or level 1 ceiling plan. Go again to the roof tool, because as you can see, this is only going in one direction. So you want to go here to the roof tool, again set it at level 2. Now we know the offset, so we can give it immediately a -0.6 meter offset. And here you want to choose the coffered ceiling number 2. Once we have that, again, it's as simple as creating a simple rectangle here that goes all the way around. Let's see, did we create this correctly? There we go. Okay, again, select all of the lines, uncheck the Define Slope option, hit Finish, and now we have that coffered ceiling. If I go to the 3D view, twist around, this is what that's going to look like. Now, again, as I said, if you want to see the whole tutorial where I show you how to create these families, these profiles, how to set everything up correctly, you can find that in the description of this video. And finally, let's take a look at the final type of ceiling, and that's going to be a beamed ceiling. It creates a very cool rustic feel. I think it does look really cool, so I thought why not show this as well. So to create a ceiling like this, now keep in mind that this can either be a fake beam or it can be a real beam, depending on the kind of the structure of the building and so on. I have seen both types in the real world. So anyways, what we have to do is go to here to the project browser, again move to ceiling plan level 1, zoom in a little bit, and then go to our ceiling tool. Now once we go to the ceiling tool, we can keep the automatic ceiling, and here for the ceiling, let's go with the plain one and just set the height offset to maybe 3 meters. And just place that there. Okay, so once we have our regular ceiling in place, let's then move to level 2. So here in floor plans, move to level 2. And then what you want to create is a beam system that's going to be going, that's going to be placed here in that ceiling. Now for a beam system, you have to navigate here to the structure tab, and then you have to go here to the beam. And in the properties, let's drop down the properties, and here, because this is my template here, I already have some beams loaded in. So let's use the, let's go with the 140 by 140, for example. And then, well, you can either place beams manually like this, or what I prefer to do is just cancel out of this, is use this beam system. Now for the beam system, you can set up the beams that are being used here under beam type, and as you can see, it's going to copy the active beam from the beam tool, which is perfect for this situation. Next, we have the fixed spacing, and this could work perhaps with some concrete beams, with these types of wooden beams for the ceiling. I'm going to go with something like let's go with 0.8. And then let's keep this either at a fixed distance, or I prefer maximum spacing because then the layout is going to be more equal. Okay, so once we have that, oops, there we go, apply. And then let's go here to the rectangle tool and place that rectangle like this. Now this line indicates that the ceiling direction is going to go like this, so the beam direction, or you can change that by going here to beam direction and just add a simple line like this, so it's going to go in this direction. But actually in this case, I prefer it to go like that, so let's leave it there, just like that. Hit finish. And there we go. Now it's going to tag all of these. If you don't like that, you can simply delete the tags. That's okay. And then also we have to go here to the section and create, well, actually, let's create a section that goes like this and open that up. And of course, as we had with that coffered ceiling, it's a little bit above. So let's just use the measure tool to measure from here to here. Again, we have 0.6. So let's select the beam system and drop it by by minus 0.6 meters. There we go. And now when we go to the 3D view, that is going to look like this. And I think it looks really cool. And there we go, we have created 6 different types of ceilings quite quickly in this tutorial. Now, if you would like to download all of my Revit project files, like this project file here, as well as the rest of them, you can find those on my Patreon page, which is going to be the second link in the description. The first link in the description takes you to my website. There I have beginner, intermediate, as well as advanced level courses where you can learn Revit in depth. Also keep in mind that I have left some links to the other tutorials about ceilings that I have created. I also have a playlist on that, so all of that can be found in the description below the video. Okay, so that concludes this video. Thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe, like, and share this video. Make sure to comment if you have maybe a better approach to some of these ceilings, or maybe some other ceilings that you would like to see in the future. Also, I'll be back just in a couple of days with another regular Balkan Architect tutorial, so as I said, make sure to subscribe. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.